be relatively loose as far as using this as a guideline. Let's get a piece of tape. First, we're going to start off with the head. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the top part of this here. And you can keep the piece off to the side if you like, you never know, or you might need it again.
So just the skull cap?
Yep.
Want it off now?
Yeah, just for now. It's going to take us a real quick. We're going to put white in your brush first.
Saving our masks.
Yeah, for now. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. You might need them for something. And all I'm going to do is get the right reduction on this. Because I'm going to be doing most of this freehand, I'm going to just simply come in here. I'm just going to kind of ghost around the edges of this. Enough to where I can just see this for the next step there. So that's all I really have gotten on here. Now I'm going to go in and take, I've got a little bit of a problem here, so I'm going to tape this up. The bigger panels might be a little more awkward for some of us. You might do some of your work standing, like I'm doing. Just get it secured down so it doesn't flop over on you and take out the guy behind you. Okay, so now I've got my reference here. I just have this ghosted in. Now I'm just going to put a light haze over there. I'm not trying to add a whole lot of color. I'm just basically setting up so I can see the elements that I'm working with. Now I'm going to come down here and peel out the next one. Actually, before I do that, I'm probably going to take this little circle here of the monocle, pop that out, and I'm going to get a little bit more intense with the application of color around that because I want that to be pretty visible. The white, and I'm going to go around like that. Now I'm going to peel up the rest of this here. Just tape this down again.
You do the circle at the same time with the helmet, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to peel all the rest of it off after I get that in. I'm going to leave the nose down, and then you're going to need a little bit of a trim around the eye. And again, we're going to be mixing up a combination of Stabilo, Freehand along with the shield. We're not going to use the mask as the actual, complete rendering of this. We're going to give this a little bit of room to come in here and draw in some of the features and the details. After I get that up, I'm just going to come in here and start penciling in some of the areas for the teeth. And some of the details. Like, you can add whatever you want. I'll go ahead and peel out the center of the eye, where the monocle is, that circle. Peel that out so I can do the drawing that I need to over on that. Before I get too carried with the drawing, I'm just going to ghost over that nose and that eye orbit, just so I have them there. A lot of this, we could have sat here and drawn this all out freehand, but it's taken us all individually much longer to do this. It would have been tougher to get through the entire project going freehand, but, a lot of different ways to attack this. You could have taken your drawing and, projected it up there or traced it using, carbon paper and enlarging it and stuff. So a lot of different ways to do it, but I'm using the vinyl right now not exactly as a final guide, like a lot of times when you use masking for tribal and stuff. I'm using this simply to enable us to kind of all be focused at the same area at the same time. and get through some of the basic proportions of this. But inside of what we're doing, you guys have freedom to, you know, do things like add rivets, add cracks, add stress, add different types of textures and details that you want to be creative based upon things that we've been discussing in the previous lessons. So now I've got everything kind of laid out here. You got basically where the nose is. I'll come in here and just kind of draw everything in where I want it, the eyes. And I'm going to make the eye on the monocle side almost look like it's being enlarged somewhat by the focal of the lens here, and kind of make it look like it's magnified just a hair. And I'll start drawing in some of the other features I want, cheekbone and such. Now that I've got that drawn in, now I'm going to start rendering, thinking of, okay, where is my light source? Where is it? What am I dealing with? Am I dealing with a highly reflective surface? Am I dealing with something that is, you know, like the bone being less reflective than obviously the metal aspects of our little mechanical spider guy? So I'll start first off just reinforcing all the stuff that I did with my stabilo, just like we did yesterday. It's okay to give them some snaggle teeth if you want, whatever you want to do there. And I'm just going to go around kind of put in position just the reference points that I want. Okay.
Now, did you dust that black part there?
Yeah.
Also? So
Yeah.
everything's been dusted?
Yeah, it's been dusted just so I can see the separation.
Even that one?
What one?
This one here?
No, I didn't dust that yet, but I will be. The only reason I did the dusting was simply so I could see the different portions of the mask. See what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Just so I could see those. I mean, I didn't put enough down there that I was really messing with the value or anything. Another thing too, like when you're working with the vinyl, see where I'm going. I'm going to remove your vinyl. You're going to get static charge coming off the panel, and so you're going to want to take some of the water-based degreaser before you really get into any real development with the airbrush and neutralize that, and just wipe it down when you're doing the removal of your pencil line. So now I've got that part done. I'm going to just come down here, remove the bottom jaw. And then I'll pencil in my other details. I'm in here now with the lower teeth. I'm just going to go around, sketch it in. All I'm doing right now is kind of placing things. I'm just kind of putting it all together. And then I'm going to wipe off my little pencil marks. And then wipe off the excess degreaser right there. And I think while I'm at this point, you know, you'll keep building off those edges. Just so I can see them, I'm just going to ghost around the edge of that so I see the edge of the chin there. And then I'll go ahead and peel out this other section right here to the side. And I'm probably going to make a cut on this. That. It doesn't look like much now. It's really not supposed to. We're just kind of putting together all the little pieces. And then some of the details I have in this particular project here, you know, the little like tube-like things going around the collar and stuff. You know, there's little lines of reference in here. Don't need to get too carried away with this stuff. And feel free to do it however you want to do it here. If you want to ad-lib a little bit from what I'm doing, that's cool. So all I'm doing is just kind of give myself a little reminder of where everything's at. And then what I'm going to do at this point, besides wiping off the pencil marks once again, you can see I just keep a little wet rag right next to me, just enough to get rid of those points. Now I will start to do the rendering that I want to do.
And then putting in the value of the white.
Yeah, I'm going to start rendering it the way that I'm going to, like I'm basically going to start preparing it, just like the other painting. So I'll start with the nose up here. And make sure that your paint is reduced just right. I think I'm pretty good here. It might not be. And I'm just working real small areas. Trying to imagine now, some of these areas are going to be over top of the areas where the skull is, so it's going to be creating dark shadows. And I'm going to leave those completely free of the white, just like we talked about letting the negative space of your panel do some of the work for you. You see, I'm just doing little baby dagger strokes here. Little stuff. Sometimes it's easier to work small like this because you're not doing a whole lot of body movement to get the paint where you want it. So you're working in little small areas. Once you get the feeling for the control of the airbrush and you get the viscosity on the paint, it'll become pretty easy for you to do this stuff. And again, emphasizing that what I'm doing here is trying to render it to the point where, the white is completed. I want the white, I want to bring the levels up to where I want them, and I want to leave the negative spaces where I don't want the white to be, where I would eventually come back in with the darkest color. So let's just all pretend like the white is all we have. Little details and bone sutures and stuff like that we can come in here and add. But initially you might want to just kind of get a feel for where the light's going to fall. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to have it come right in from the front on this one. And when I work off the teeth, I usually do the shape of the tooth and then going up into the gum line. You see I'm just pulling these little baby dagger strokes upwards to form the ridges in the upper jaw, going into the nostrils, the nasal cavity. See, I'm just doing a little dagger stroke, and at the top of the teeth, usually what I'm doing is starting at the tooth, and I'm starting with a focal spot right at the top of the tooth, and I do like a dagger stroke down this side, and I'll do a dagger stroke down that side. And that will kind of form my tooth, and I'll put my highlight in here, leaving the core shadow on the tooth, and coming down the other side with the highlight. So it's a real simple, just repetition of strokes, the dagger stroke, starting at the top, pulling down, and as it wraps around the corner of the mouth, I'll just use the one stroke basically, because the tooth becomes somewhat foreshortened in perspective because it's behind the other teeth. So you can kind of see there, get the teeth starting, but then when I work off the upper line, you see I'm putting in these little slight hints of the jaw and the ridges where the teeth kind of slide into those. So if you guys want to just take a quick look at that, if you want to see just basically how small we're